Okay, I'm live. And I'm alive. That's two crazy things to actually say. Uh, for anybody tuning in for the first time, I'm going to kind of run through a little intro of like what this is and who I am. So I'm Joshua Kemble. I've been a professional artist for about 20 years now, getting close to 20 years. I do professional illustration and graphic design, and then art direction is kind of my main bread and butter job that I do during the day. And when I'm not art directing, I'm working on graphic novels. Graphic novels like this one, Jacob's Apartment, which is a slice of life, doomed romance story. That's a coming of age story about uh, two roommates that are both in a crisis of identity situation, where Jacob, the main character, is sort of having his faith challenged because he's losing his father to cancer, and then Sarah, who's having an identity crisis based on like a broken relationship with an ex-lover who moved to a different state. And both of them are roommates and end up finding connection in their mixed pursuit of dreams. And as they're pursuing their dreams in literary pursuits, Jacob in comics, Sarah in editing and creating books, they find that their waking and sleeping dreams start kind of weaving together. So it's a book in the style and vein of Ghost World or Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind. And if you're into that kind of thing, please pre-order this. It comes out actually on the 7th, which is pretty exciting. And I'm actually pretty stoked. I am starting to get a few responses from some of the queries that I've sent out, which actually is a good reminder. I need to send out press releases daily again, and keep at it. But I think I have an interview with a journalist on Monday about this very book, which I'm pretty excited about. And you'll notice that I've been gone for a bit from my stream. So let me sort of explain. I try to usually work on these comics daily. Right now, I have a graphic novel. Excuse me. I have a graphic novel that has been. You're going to notice my throat's all messed up too, but I have a graphic novel that is called um, Not Death But Love: The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. That's written by my sister, and then I'm illustrating, and it's going to take about I don't know. I have till April of next year to finish the entire book, and I'm about 10 pages in, and then I'm about 17 pages into roughs, and that's all stuff I've done on stream. And I'm trying to work on that daily and stream daily. But if you guys remember from, I think it might have been the last stream I was on, where like I had to kind of end the stream. It was either the last one or the one before that, where I had to end the stream because my son threw up. um, you guys will probably remember that, and if you don't, that's okay. It's not the best memory in the world, but but luckily he's doing okay, and I'm doing okay too. But what did happen, like right after that, was like the next day, from the last stream that I did. I woke up and I was like super sick. Um, and it was mostly just like a really sore throat and splitting headache, and like that feeling where like the lines of your face that have a sinus like just had all this pressure and pain. And you guys don't really tune into this to know like my health situation or whatever, but that, needless to say, that is why I haven't streamed in a while. And now I'm super behind on my comic. So yesterday I had like the day to work on it. My wife and son and like her sister went to visit uh, um, his grandpa, and in theory, that would have been the day to catch up on stuff. But like the whole day I was like groggy, just not present, not able to kind of work or focus. So I ended up using that day to just be like, okay, I guess this is my body again, just telling me like I have to rest more, and I'll be able to get to this when I get to it. But the last thing I want to do is like push hard and then have to like go through another week of just feeling like completely sick. So that's what I'm going to be doing on this stream, is like actually catching up on that. Before I do, I should mention my other book too. I have another graphic novel called Two Stories, which is let me see if I can grab it here, which is this book here, and this is out currently. You can buy it today on Amazon, and this is a story that deals with my journey dealing with depression, caregiving for somebody with panic disorder, growing up and experiencing and kind of recognizing some hypocrisy at a Christian school, as well as fun stuff like deciding to dress like Indiana Jones for an entire year at school before cosplay was even a word that existed. So yeah, if that sounds good to you, it's definitely a book in the vein. Oh, Benji dropped some Legos. Yeah, of American Splendor, and it's definitely in that vein of like autobiographical graphic novels like American Splendor or Ghost World. My goodness, not Ghost World. The Broken Legos. I'm going to blame that for my lack of ability to pitch. But or blankets. That if you're into those kind of books, I think Two Stories would be right up your alley, and that's available on Amazon. Jake Twister is joining us in the chats and said, I was just as I was about to cook. Oh, well, I don't want to keep you from cooking, man. Just play the stream while cooking. Oh, Ben, did you want to say something?
No, but
Okay,
that was
okay.
kind of getting in the way of something I wanted to show.
Oh, okay. Do you want to show? Here, show what you're gonna show.
Hey guys, here it is.
Here, stand over here.
Check out this random color villager head I made using Legos. And this is a Minecraft villager head. In case if you didn't know what Minecraft is, it's just such an awesome game that I really like.
Yeah.
And check it out. The back opens up.
It does. It's really cool. You can like open up the head of the villager that he built.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, here, let me take off this this thing so everybody can see you. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Huh?
I know, right?
Right.
And you can also put it back on. It's fixable.
Yeah.
This was actually just a complete mistake.
Uh-huh.
But it's actually really cool.
Yeah, I was telling Ben about happy accidents because like this, he was initially wanting it to not open up in the back. Like this is a villager head, I guess. And it actually looks like a villager head if you're familiar with like Minecraft.
But it kind of doesn't because of all the random colors.
Yeah. And then the back like does open up, and he was like, that's pretty cool because I didn't mean for that to happen, but it happened. And I
know, right?
Yeah. So I explained to Ben that like in art or when you're doing stuff, like there's things called happy accidents. And that's what we call that in art. And they happen not always all the time, but when they happen, they're very cool. And then Jake was saying, you want to be a builder, Ben? Or do you want to work on building stuff?
Yeah, I'm already pretty good at building. So
yeah.
I think I can build more stuff like this.
That's true. Yeah, you're going to be a brick master at some point, I think. Yeah. And then Jim Lujan said, Ben Kemble, Lego master. All right. Yeah. And then
And then Jake
said
if you see it, it can be made of anything.
Yep, that's true. All right,
yeah,
Ben.
Like one time we saw a really small villager head that didn't open up. It was made of small Legos.
Yep, that's true. I love it. Thank you, Ben. Give me a high five.
Anyway, I guess it's time for me to go for now.
Okay, we'll see you, Ben. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. That was pretty cute. He literally like grabbed my mic. He was just like, "Yep, this is mine right now. I'm gonna start telling you guys about my Lego Minecraft." But honestly, I think it's pretty cool. Jake said bye, Ben, and then Ben just waved. So that's another thing to mention. This is during the day, this stream. So you'll probably see Ben like running around and having fun and stuff. And then my wife in the background working on her 50th kids book. Which is funny. I was kind of hoping she'd correct me on that, but no, I guess you're not. So my always has this tendency. I'll be like, yeah, she did like 20 kids books this year, and she's like, it was only like 12 and like 6 like 4 months before that. Anyhow, Paul was like 50 kids books. No, not actually 50 kids book, but I mean 12 is kind of insane. 12 is kind of insane. So I just like to exaggerate so when Mike corrects me, people can still be like, whoa. Because they're like, well, that must be exaggerating. And then you say 12 and it's still like, mic drop, goodbye. Anyhow, all right. Okay, so we're going to get into this pretty quickly. All right, guys. Yeah, Paul was like 12 is a lot with like, 3 exclamation points. I agree. It's insane. Okay, so we're going to get to our page, which is number 18. So I'm going to look at the page of the script. Jake was saying 12 since January. Workhorse she is. You got to step up. I know. My wife is a much quicker and more efficient and better artist, I think, than I am, honestly. She's also prettier.
That's what she said.
She's pretty much, yeah. I mean, like, basically, like, if my wife were streaming now, I would be like, I don't know, just go watch her stream. Okay, so let's see here. But yeah, we actually met in art school, which I think is pretty cool. Like, a lot of people don't think about the connections you make in school, but it's like I literally met my wife in art school. So our relationship has been very art centric. And it's fun like that because like I had to update. She forced me to update my wish list on Amazon because of my birthday's coming up. And I always forget because I'm not like a guy who like sits and makes like lists of things I want. What I do tend to do is like look at guitars obsessively for like half a year and pick out a guitar or something. So my point is I'm not like a person who's free from consumption. It's just like I'm not a person who like tends to think of all the little things I want. But when I made the list, it's like I have weird stuff on there, like a sculpture of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's head. I just think that would be awesome. He's my favorite president. And I just think that would be hilarious to have like a cool like bust of FDR. What's up, Ben?
I just put the villager head on top of a body.
Oh, we'll turn it around so they can see. Here, I'll turn off this large. Okay. So he's got the body and the head now. That's pretty cool. All right.
Now all I might need to add is the arms.
Yeah. He's building a giant villager. 1st of April next year, have your wife stream. Jake said. Yeah, I actually have been kind of encouraging her to try to like stream or do something like that because I think she'd kill it. Like, she's an incredibly quick and very creative artist. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, I have to get to script and I have to switch our views. So if you're new to watching, most of you guys in the chats are obviously return viewers and stuff like that. But let's see. So, oh, nice. Okay, so Jake, who's familiar with Minecraft, said he's rating it as a villager. Huh. Out of 10. So you got a 10. Oh, he's doing it as a villager going, See, he wrote,
Anyways, I just add the arms, and now it's complete because the body had the feet on it, so I don't need to add the feet.
Dude, that's a pretty impressive villager for
anyone.
anyone.
No, it's arms crossed, so it's not perfect, but I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Oh, I just saw Philip's. I just saw Philip's comment. Says, "Hey there, Josh. Unfortunately, I can't stay. I'm just about to head to work."
Yeah.
Sorry, Philip.
That's okay. I think Philip's just saying hi. All right. Cool, Ben. I have to work on my comic now, but I love you. Give me a high five real quick. Another one. Explosion. Okay. Pretty cool. We're seeing like Minecraft villagers. Very awesome stuff. Okay. So we got to get into this. So I'm going to show for anybody who's still stuck around, I will show our daily stream kind of setup. So over here is where I'm going to work on my first thumbnail and then rough for page 18. Over here is the scripts, like right down here. And so we're going to go through that and kind of look through it and see where we're at. Okay. The last page, I'm looking at page 17. Paul was saying Ben is a great addition to the stream. I agree. I think Ben is a valuable, awesome addition to the stream. And honestly, it's kind of cool because if you guys out there were curious how to make like a Minecraft villager out of Legos, that's not a bad villager. It's pretty cool. I just love how creative he's been. He's been like really into like building those awesome things. Oh, are you going to show another? Okay, Ben. We'll do one more, okay, bud? Okay, here we go. All right.
Guys, I just made a man who's supposed to go inside of the villager's head so he can actually drive it.
Oh, so he's like in a...
Yeah, it's like he can play as the villager.
Oh, that's cool. So he'll drive the villager, the big villager.
Yeah, it's like the big villager is a mech and this small guy is the driver.
I like that idea. I think that's really cool.
I know, right?
I know. All right, bud.
Anyways, you want to post a comment?
What's up? Oh, do I want to post a comment?
You know how to post a comment.
I do.
Right?
I just have to work on my comic, Ben. Yeah.
and Paul Bates is so made of it. And I think I agree, but I don't know what meta means, so I don't get what he means.
He's talking about meta, like it's like he's saying you're going very deep with your content there. It's like content within content.
I know.
I love it.
Anyways, I think that this would be my last one to show off because Dad said so. So, oh. It looks like someone else posted this comment. I think you should read it.
No, I think you should read it. Here, well, I'll put it up big so you can see it better. There you go.
They're just saying, "Hi, Ben."
And then what's after that? Are they're robots and?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Pretty good comment.
Yeah, there you go, Dee Dee. You made a pretty good comment. That's awesome. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for showing that. All right, I do have to work on my comic now. Oh, you take care, Ben.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys.
Thanks, Ben.
I think I gotta go now.
Okay. High five.
I mean, really, this time.
You cannot go ever. You will never go. I will always have you. I will always keep you here.
Why do you keep doing this?
You are stuck here forever. No, come back. You can come back. I'm being goofy. Oh, he's gone. All right. There we go. So now let's get into drawing. I'm pretty excited about this. I will say though, like it is pretty fun to have Ben chime in on the stream. And now let's try to think through this page. So the first thing I have to do is thumbnail it. And then from thumbnailing, I'm gonna basically go to roughs. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, Wilson. Okay, the last page we had Wilson rushing into Elizabeth's room, giving her a letter that she got outside from a delivery boy, who had like one of those pillbox hats. Oh, Dee Dee gave a super chat saying, "Thanks for sharing Ben and his creations." Well, thank you, Dee Dee. That's awesome. He really is pretty cute. I mean, I'm a little biased, but I'd say he's probably like the cutest kid on the planet. You know, I think I can say that objectively. Okay, so let's see here. So we had her come in into Elizabeth's room, hand her a letter. She's seated on her chase lounge with Flush in her lap. Elizabeth takes the letter, rips it open, scans the contents, goes, "We must go at once." Opens, Wilson, the maid, opens the wardrobe, drags out a trunk. Pale and flustered, Elizabeth rises weakly from the sofa, gathers up a few nearby books and papers. This is the thing we had to research last time, where we had to look into all those books because it's specific books. Because we have a close-up of the books, and it's The Battle of Marathon by E.B. Barrett, Prometheus Bound, translated by Elizabeth Barrett, and The Seraphim and Other Poems by Elizabeth B. Barrett. And then Elizabeth saying, "Have I gone mad, Wilson?" So that's where we left off. I'm just reminding myself of the stage we're in, right? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna get into this. Okay, so we have to thumbnail this out. Let's turn off our extras while we thumbnail it too. Okay, so our last page was that crazy 12 panel page. And it's going to take me a few minutes to kind of get back in the zone. Okay, so the last panel was that, right? Where she's saying, "Have I gone mad, Wilson?" This is what we roughed out. We also got Gary Hodges of Dinosaurs versus Marsbots fame in the chats saying hello, hello. So Gary did a live stream yesterday that I missed, and I was bummed about missing because, again, just like I was super sick and wasn't going to be able to make it. I thought I was going to live stream later yesterday, and I was just out for the day. So, but I'm excited about catching up on that stream, and while I'm doing that, I'll probably do that a little later today, watching his stream. I try to watch it as it happens because Gary's rad. Anyhow, I'm going to catch up on the stream, and I'd encourage you guys to join me on that too. Make sure you're subscribed to his content as well. All right, so Wilson goes to Elizabeth. So this is an interesting thing. Mai said every time I say Wilson, she thinks of Dennis the Menace. I always think of the ball from, the ball from Castaway or whatever. That would be funny if just for a panel I just had the ball from Castaway go up to Elizabeth Barrett Browning and just be like, "Are you okay?" That's the catch. That's going to be the big twist of this book, is that it's actually Elizabeth Barrett Browning and it's all in her head. She's just been sitting on a Chase lounge. Dee Dee was saying, "Wilson." No, that was so sad. I like Paul's MC style here. He's saying, "Gary in the house." Speaking of MCs, oh my gosh. Okay, I have to start thumbnailing. Oh, Josh. We're 30 minutes in. I need to start drawing. What's up? Tell them our idea of changing our garage into a studio. We're thinking at some point of changing our garage into a studio, which I think would be cool. We got to figure out the logistics of it, but I think it would be cool. That would be really cool, actually. Okay, so all of that said, okay, I'll just say the thing since I keep getting I keep getting pulled away anyway. Before I get into drawing this, so I talked a lot on this stream about how much I like Kendrick Lamar. Like, I think he's probably, like, I'm a fan of hip hop, and I think he's probably the best MC we've seen in hip hop in like years. Probably, I don't know. I'm trying to think the last great like MC, like lyrically and delivery wise, and just on an ability level as an artist, right? And he just put out a new album that yesterday, while I was kind of out sick, I listened to on repeat. I was watching like different reviews of it. It's just like, it's one of those albums that, like, as a concept album, it's called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And it's like, as a concept album, from like the front to the last. And this is the great thing about people who are familiar with Kendrick Lamar. He's not an artist that you can just like listen to like one song and be like, "Oh yeah, okay, I know what that guy sounds like." Quite often, actually, if you just listen to one song, you may not even be a fan. So he's kind of like the equivalent of like, a prog artist who, like, where you're like, if you just heard one song, you wouldn't fully understand it because they're doing these like concept albums, like from front to back, that like tell a whole narrative. Or a good example would be like Weezer, Pinkerton, back when Weezer was good. Where like Pinkerton, if you heard like one song off of it, it's like, okay, that's interesting. But when you hear like the album from like front to back, it's just like this work of art that tells a whole story, and it's kind of amazing. This is like that, but in hip hop. And I can't think of the last, like, I mean, it's been a long time since I've heard like an album, honestly, like outside of just hip hop, that's just like a piece of art. Like, so I encourage you guys to check it out. I will say it's definitely not like a family friendly album. It's definitely one like if I'm listening to around Ben, I'm gonna put on the headphones. Because there's a lot of language and kind of rough topics and stuff, but it's like it's heavy. It's just like I highly encourage you guys to check that out. And if you haven't checked out Kendrick Lamar before, a good place to start is like Good Kid, Mad City, and then kind of work your way through that. But Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, it's like it's just like I don't know. I can't explain how excited I am about that album. Okay, all of that's out of the way. Now let's get to drawing. So we're going to have to do Wilson goes to Elizabeth. She puts her hand gently on her mistress's arm. Okay. But anyhow, Paul, who's into hip hop, I think I don't know if you've heard that album yet, but it's like it's worth, like, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is like easily, it's going to be probably the best album of anyone puts out this whole year. And I would get in a pretty heated debate with anyone who thinks otherwise. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Anyhow. Yes. Okay. Supernatural bunker. We will do that. All right.
Yeah? You didn't read Angel Warning Sigils about it too. What? You didn't read the sigils of Angel warnings and devil wardings. Yeah, you need a devil's trap. A devil's trap. How about a cardboard cutout? Baby.
Paul just said I'll check it out shortly, Josh. Yeah, I can't even explain. It's like you know how there's just like poets like and artists of like our generation. I feel like he's definitely one of them. Like in hip hop, he's definitely the guy. I don't think there's anyone who holds a candle to like the level of like art he's bringing to music. It's just like the whole thing just feels, it's like perfectly crafted. I can't explain how excited I am about it. Yeah, Paul was saying I'll give you feedback on future streams. Yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with Kendrick, it's a good starting point. If you aren't super familiar with Kendrick though, like start with Good Kid, Mad City, and you got to do the whole album like front to back. I feel like the guy who's trying to get somebody into Pink Floyd for the first time. You're trying to explain The Wall, and you're like, no, you can't just listen to one song, man. It's a whole thing. It's like that, but in hip hop. Okay, enough rambling. I have to work. Okay. I'm like a week behind. Okay, Wilson goes to Elizabeth and puts her hand gently on her mistress's arm. Which side is she on in the room? Okay, she's on like, so we've drawn this room. There's like the Chase Lounge. Okay. But yeah, Paul, that would be super fun to like hear. Oh, actually, that's a good kind of question for you guys. Have you guys heard anything recently that was like, you have to hear this, like kind of good? Okay, Wilson goes to Elizabeth, puts her hand on her mistress's arm.
Still going Wilson.
I know. All right, so we're gonna do. So Wilson goes to Elizabeth. Stop, please. I can't. I'm trying to focus. I'm just trying to draw. My brain, I keep getting pulled in 50 directions. Okay, let me think. Wilson is okay, Wilson's on the left side of the room. She's gonna go to Elizabeth, but if she goes to Elizabeth and puts her hand gently on her, that's 2 actions. But that could be shown in one panel. Okay. So we're thumbnailing real quick. This page might have drug use on it, you guys, just as a warning. Paul said I've been wearing out old 70s love songs. Okay, so what we'll do is we had that panel where there's like there was like a thing here. This is just a thumbnail. Her chase is here. It's kind of like a weird overhead shot, and there was like, okay, so we had that writing desk. She went to the writing desk, got her books. But I think the last time we saw her, like Wilson was back here, kind of opening up the drawer. I think Elizabeth might be here. Okay, so I'm gonna have Elizabeth here. She's gonna be holding her books. She just said, "Have I gone mad, Wilson?" And Wilson was on the right. So I'm guessing the unseen. We usually don't cross the line. Okay, so she's going to be here, kind of doing her.
Mom, I just made the player.
Oh, dude. That's awesome sauce.
Okay, we did cross the line. That's good. Okay, because the last shot we had was overhead. Okay, so we're going to actually have Wilson here, putting her arm on. Okay, Wilson's going to be here with her like kind of maid hat or whatever. This is such a bad thumbnail, but that's okay. We're just working it out. This is why it's like it's good to have kind of concentration while I'm doing that if I can. And then I think okay. Paul said, I've been wearing out old 70s love songs. And then Dee Dee said, I don't remember too many love songs by Black Sabbath, Humble Pie, Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, ELO. Led Zeppelin, almost every song's a love song. It's just like a love song. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow, sorry. But there's a whole ton of great love songs from the 70s, especially in soul. Like, I mean, you got like Al Green, you got Marvin Gaye, you got like late Otis Redding, like some like just classic love songs. Dee Dee said, Asterix love songs. Yeah, for sure. That's anyhow. But there is like a great realm of stuff like that. Yeah, Dee Dee was saying I didn't go to those concerts, love song groups. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I can understand though, like hearing like the just kind of harder stuff is a lot more like when I think of a band that's going to be really fun to see live, it's rarely a band that's like doing really sweet love songs. Although I have to say, man, like a lot of those soul bands, like back, like can you imagine seeing like Al Green back in the day, like when What's Going On came out, or like um which is not Al Green. My goodness. my brain is sick. I am listening to the new Black Keys. Is it good? That's what Gary said. He didn't ask if it was good. That was me asking if it was good. Okay. This is going to be Are You Unwell? Unwell. Should I sign for Mr. Browning? Why am I putting the words in Elizabeth? Because this will be where Wilson is. And then she's going to be saying...
This is not Gabe's head. This is a villager's head.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
You know what? This is weird, but actually this might be a case, okay, just for emotional impact, I think it's going to be better to have her here. Like she's moving.
You just place the head down.
So we're going to have her kind of moving forward a little bit.
Place the head down right where it was standing at Brand Wave.
So we're going to have the head moving forward. We're going to have Elizabeth here. And then this is going to be the panel. It needs to have a close-up. Okay, this is good. This is why we do thumbnails. And then this one will be the maid saying like, "Are you unwell?" up here. And then yeah, okay. This is going to be her kind of more hunched over with her stack of books. Thumbnails, guys. Here I'm going to have her saying no. So she's saying, "Are you unwell? Should I send for Mr. Browning?" That makes a little more emotional impact. Laudanum bottle. Did we get that on the last? Okay. We'll have to research that again. I think we did.
Place current inventory. 64 villager heads.
64 villager heads? That's kind of creepy.
Okay, we're gonna have to have a table beside the sofa.
And 64 wolf heads.
We had a table beside the sofa before. I thought we were done with the table. Now I'm gonna have to double check that on my roughs from the scene.
Whoa.
Is it possible to have? Okay. Okay, we can have a table. Okay. We're gonna have to have the table be. Let's see if we can find where the table would be. I'm looking at the old page just to see, like, okay, now do I need to like make sure that table's shown? Is there a space where it can be, or do I have to revise the last page as well? So I think we could have the table be in front of the, like it's been moved. Okay. New thumbnail, real quick. Not totally new. We're just working out all the details. This is why like it's so good to do this in like thumbnail form. I don't know if any of this like makes sense to that's why like thumbnails are fun. Like they're kind of weird, but it's like some of this may not make sense to anyone except myself right now, but that's okay. It doesn't have to. Okay. So this is going to be a shot where we have the table right here, we have the chase here, we have the main action here. But that's at least pre-setting the stage for the table. So the table doesn't feel like it just appeared out of nowhere. Are you unwell? Yeah, What's Going On is by Marvin Gaye. I know. I was just my brain was just all over the place. Yeah. I meant to say let's get it on. But then I was just yeah, my brain is sick brain. And so yeah. Although What's Going On is amazing by Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye's stuff is pretty cool. It's interesting. It's got like a drive to it from that era. Let's see here. But I hate to say it, of the two, like if it were between Marvin Gaye and Al Green, I'd be like picking Al Green because I think nobody can beat Al Green's like, whoo, you know, kind of thing. Your mind is on your panels. Exactly. Okay, so we've got Wilson picks up a laudanum bottle labeled opium tincture. That's the weird thing. I gotta look into that. But from what I realize, maybe it's like a small part of the label. I feel like they kind of played down the fact that it was opium, which is why it was like called laudanum, you know? Like it was kind of like the Coca-Cola thing where it's like I don't think Coca-Cola was like putting with cocaine like on their Coke bottles back when there was cocaine in it. But I don't know. Oh, Paul said I'd love to stick around, but I'm gonna go play soccer. Enjoy. That sounds awesome. Don't break a leg. That's like the one, especially that one sport. That's the one you don't want to be like, go break a leg. But yeah, listen to Kendrick. I will tell you, it's an album that like I think you'll experience it too, but it's like you hear the first track and you're like, at least I have this moment with almost every Kendrick album where I get about like 2 seconds into the first track and I'm like, I'm gonna need to like sit with this whole album. Like if I start this, it's gotta be a day where I can start to finish it. So but yeah, let me know your thoughts, man. Okay. So Wilson now is gonna we're gonna have Elizabeth. Okay, I'm gonna have Elizabeth kind of holding her books, but she's gonna be like sitting on the chase just to make this kind of make more sense. But she'll have her books kind of cradled on her right arm. Because I want her to almost seem like she's like exhausted now. And I'm going to have Wilson here. And we're going to have Wilson. Okay, she's going to be reaching for that bottle that'll be on the thing. And we have our writing desk and our thing there. Okay, cool. This will be the label. That's going to be the opium bottle, which I think is more of like a... The bottle shape looked a little bit like modern bottles of Jack Daniels, from what I recall. But we'll look them up when we get to the rough stage. So this will say like opium tincture or something like that. I don't like that way of holding the bottle. It would be more like... It would be more like this, where she's going to be grabbing it.
Does this look like a spear or an arrow?
Like a medicine bottle, maybe?
I was trying to make it look like a spear. But an arrow is also good.
So from the top? No. Got it. Okay, sorry. It took me a few to figure this out. There we go. So this will be the maid's sort of viewpoint. And this will be the label or whatever. So we'll see a little bit of that. So now this will be panel.
Oh, bow and arrow.
Okay, now I'm seeing a structure here where it's going to be like short panel, long panel this way, and then this will be like kind of something like that. That's going to be our page. Okay. So she's going to go to Elizabeth now with the bottle. I think she should be picking up a spoon too, because usually they like spoon did the bottles, like poured it into a spoon like cough syrup, you know, I believe at the time.
It did actually touch me.
So this will be her kind of bringing it to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth pushing
I gotta watch where we're made.
with her arm.
The arrow is full.
And then this will be kind of like a little bit of an undershot where she's going to be saying, I want to remember this day. She's pushing the bottle away. And this will be the bottle.
Now this player has a double arrow on his foot.
Okay, I think we have this roughly worked out. We have a nice thumbnail. This might be a good time to play a trailer. Oh no!
It just missed you.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but I Matrix dodged an arrow. Hold on. Let's go full screen here where you guys can see this. Oh no! That actually looked like it hit me from
That
the.
actually looks
yeah.
like it went through your head.
Yeah, through my head. Yeah. Come on, you can come over for a sec.
Bow and arrow.
A bow and an arrow. Oh, here. Why don't you come over here? It might be easier for them to see.
Check it out, guys. It's a bow and an arrow. They come together, so
Yeah.
you can hold the arrow and the bow like this and then shoot it.
Oh no,
like
look out.
this.
Wait, like this?
Yeah.
That was cool. That was like almost like a special effect 3D. Live in 3D. Okay. I love it. And Dee Dee was telling me not to draw the thumb on the wrong side of the hand. Yeah, that would be a problem.
Yeah, that would look like it's totally wrong.
I still think it would be funny to make a character that intentionally has that. I always thought it would be fun to do like a parody comic called like Captain Anatomy or something. And it's just terrible anatomy. Like it's like every like 90s Image comic, but exaggerated. So it's like a 7th grader's version of like Rob Liefeld. Where like every panel they're like hiding different anatomical things and there's like bad foreshortening, and I just think that would be hilarious. Call the comic Captain Anatomy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen Benjamin. We are going to go back to our view where we have our thumbnail set up. What we're going to do next is start setting up the roughs. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of save where we're at. And then we're going to go ahead and play a trailer for Jacob's apartment. And I will be right back with a fresh cup of coffee. And hopefully we can kind of knock through one rough at least. And I hope you guys experienced and enjoyed the 3D arrow. That was a pretty cool experience, I think, for all of us. All right, so let's see here. We're going to do this. We're going to put on our trailer. Here it is. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, back and ready to rock. Okay, so we're going to do our rough, which is at this point just getting the borders first. So I know that I want my borders to be pretty much the same at the top. They're going to be a little different at this bottom half. Just turn off the thumbnail real quick. We'll label that thumbnail. Okay. So we'll label that thumbnail just so we don't lose track of it. And we're going to kind of move this over to here. See, now I'm curious. It's too bad. I think Paul's already left, but I was like, I'm instantly curious. Like, does he play soccer? Is he playing or coaching or what? And I think that's pretty awesome either way. I was never all that good at sports as a kid, but the one sport that I was decent at was basketball for a while. Nowadays, I think if I tried to rock some basketball, I'd get my butt kicked, but but I was really pretty okay at it. My favorite basketball game to play was 21. But soccer always eluded me. Like I never was all that good at it. And I guess to like people who aren't in the US, that would be football. But in the US, we call football, which you play with your hands, football. American football, which is played primarily with your hands, except for the kick. And soccer is our word for what the rest of the world calls football. Why? Because we're America. Okay. So here we go. But the one thing that always behooves me about watching like the World Cup or something like that, I've watched it a couple times. It's kind of fun. I remember in particular, there was one year where I think the US somehow made it to like one of the later halves of like the World Cup, but it wasn't the World Cup. It was like the Olympics, but you know, doing soccer or football, I guess, world football. And the US team got in it, and it was the US versus England. And I have never paid more attention to a sport in my life. At least in my adult lifetime. That one was fun because my brother-in-law, actually the writer of this, her husband is of this comic is like second generation or first generation born in the US, and they were like all just like very English family. And so you know, of course, being British or whatever, it's like if you have like a game that's England versus the US, you know that was a fun time because basically I had to sit there and I think we won a game, which is crazy considering because we're not like all that great at that sport. And I remember just I wouldn't let my my brother-in-law Nick live that down for like a week until we got smoked and beaten properly. In fact, both teams I think did, because I think it was like Brazil or something that ended up winning. But it was a fun game. Like I remember that one particular game of football where the US, who can't even call it the right thing, we were calling it soccer, beat England, who are like obsessed, like they have with where they have like soccer hooligans and stuff. And we actually beat them in a game in the Olympics. That was pretty fun. But that was a long ago. I don't know. I haven't even watched the Olympics recently, but that was a good one back in the day. And that's as far as my sports talks go because I don't know sports. I don't know sport. All right. We've got our rough panel borders done. That's good. I'm gonna move my thumbnail here. And we're just gonna kind of draft this out. It's pretty fun, like when you're working on roughs and you look over and your son is like running around just going like shooting stuff. It's pretty amazing. I feel like one of the funnest things about the age that he is all that creativity, where you can make like a Lego bow and arrow and just kind of get lost in it. That's the kind of creativity I'm going to need while I do these thumbnails. So get lost in the image. Okay. Okay. So we have our maid. She's going to be here. I wonder if I have a laudanum bottle in here. We need to look that up. Maybe we should look up some laudanum bottles too. All right. Let's research some laudanum. Victorian laudanum bottle opium. Sure. Well, let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see if we can get this here. Okay. Try to see if we can get that visible for you guys. Oh, I was trying. I thought that would work. Did that work? It didn't. It did not work. Ah, here we go. Aha. Okay, do you guys see that? Opium tincture. Do we want to do the tiny bottle here? Or do we want to do the big one? Because she's doing quite a bit of laudanum, but I could kind of see it working. I want to do one of these because that's the Jack Daniels style of bottle that I was talking about. But I don't know if that's ideal. I think we're probably going to want to go with, I guess, like one of these. Opium tincture. Let's see here. Dee Dee was saying, no telling the type of ads you will get from looking that up, right? Like, or, you know, again, like this is another reason why, you know, where I work, like basically anytime I've worked in-house somewhere, you have to have this like frank discussion with the IT department where you're like, look, I have to look up leopard patterns. I just have to, right? Because like I'm doing a thing that needs a leopard pattern. It's being requested, and so now I have to Google that. Unfortunately, the internet, if I look up leopard patterns, some weird stuff's going to show up in the image search. You know what I mean? Or like in this case, if I'm like illustrating something like this, and I have to look up like opium tincture laudanum, that's like a red flag for any other part of a business that's not creative. That would be a really weird thing to be looking up at work, right? So I'm just saying, if you're out there and you're working in IT, understand for an art department to run in the modern age, there's going to be some weird crap showing up, some red flag stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of that's just going to have to get a pass if you want a functional. Oh, that's cool. I agree with Dee Dee's idea of putting in a date. So let's put like 1840s. Okay. I love this Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup. Like, for children teething. You know, like anytime somebody's saying like we need to go back to when times were really good, realize there was an era in time where apparently we were spoon feeding babies opium when they were teething. So you tell me, do you think that's a good time for us to go back to? The good old days there? Whew. Anyhow, I'm just saying there's moments like that where I'm like, okay, so maybe the FDA is like not a totally bad thing. Like it's probably good if you have like something for babies. Make sure it doesn't have opium in it. And this is one of the tragedies. This will be like subtly talked about during this comic. One of the tragedies of particularly people like Elizabeth Barrett Browning, a lot of women, was that they would like, now I don't know if this is the case with Elizabeth. It's hard too, right? Because the historical record, she had all these pains and stuff like that are documented that they couldn't quite diagnose. Like they didn't know what was causing them. They thought like maybe it was like a disc in her back or something like that. Like there's all sorts of speculation. But almost all of the symptoms are the symptoms that somebody would experience from opium withdrawal and addiction. And then they would treat it with opium. That's like this weird thing where it's like, man, I just don't feel like I can ever be awake. Like there's all these symptoms that just like having constant fatigue. And it's like, well, of course you're having constant fatigue because you're having opium all the time, you know? But it's just this weird kind of tragedy of that time where they did. I don't think they knew much better at the time. I don't think it's this doctor loves laudanum. I'm trying to think. I just want to find a really cool bottle, you guys. And I might be spending too much time trying to find it. Whereas I think that first. I mean, that's pretty cool. I just don't know about the Dr. Love. That just sounds kind of weird. So maybe we go a route where we can kind of mix this all together. Okay. So first we're going to grab this. Oh goodness. Let me see if I have my But yeah, it's this weird kind of tragic thing where you'll see like throughout her life, like she kind of like will be feeling well, but then when she's feeling bad, they're like shoving she's getting all this opium, and then like of course she's going to feel worse when the opium wears off, and like she starts having like these delusions, and I don't know, it's very tragic, but it's of that time. And I think they did this a lot with women in particular at the time, because they'd just be like, this lady is acting crazy, and they didn't understand that like the complexities of like a period or anything like that. So it's like, you had all these women getting like institutionalized or like drugged up, and like I mean, I don't think it was like a scenario where like it was this like malicious, like evil, like pervasively bad thing. I don't think everyone at the time was on it, but it was common enough to where like you could open up like a Sears catalog and order like opium that would treat like pretty much what they just call like insanity for, or I forget what the terms are, but they had like different terms for what they would call like women just being emotionally conflicted for a little bit. And it's like, again, like sometimes it was just misdiagnosing like a pretty normal experience for women, which is just like having a period or something. But at the time it was like, oh, they're just having these crazy fits. We need to take care of that, send them to an institution, like drug them full of opium. And then it's like you had all these sickly women. And then it's like, oh, well, they're sick, so we have to prescribe them with a lot of this other stuff. It's kind of insane. Oh, good point. British. That's Dee Dee giving a good tip there. Yeah, I think I really like this bottle here. This is a much more interesting bottle. Dee Dee said, I imagine there's plenty of those types of drug tragedies even to this day. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's like, you know, it's definitely like an epidemic that currently is happening with the prescription drug issues where people like get really hooked on like something that's not intended to be. I think it's like fentanyl and stuff like that like has medical uses, but people just abuse it or get hooked on it and then end up kind of stuck in this rut. Not trying to bring people down here. It's you know, tends to be a positive stream, I think, but yeah, it is part of this story, and I think it's okay. So we have our laudanum bottles, and I'm going to put them 3 above the thumbnail. So when I'm doing these roughs, I will keep that in mind. I think I'm going to basically amalgamate this or grab this like the Glover's one down here. I like that bottle shape with kind of like a little bit of what's written here and like a little bit of the type and border. And then maybe just kind of use this as like a little bit of inspiration too for where we could go with the packaging. But what's kind of weird about like a lot of the drug crisis, like with that, is like a lot of it starts with prescriptions, you know, where it's like people just get prescribed. Yeah. Anyhow, rambling, but okay. So here we go. We've got our Dee Dee was saying so many bottles to choose from. Yeah, there's a lot of really rad, like I love I could probably spend an entire day just like looking at old Victorian bottles because they're pretty amazing. So, okay, we're going to have this here. Oh, I do want to see that bottle just so I know what I'm drawing from an angle. Wait a sec. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's sketch this out. So she is going to be... Okay, this is her maid kind of... She has that outfit going. There we go. We have like puffier sleeves. She's going to have this going on. And her other hand is going to be here. Okay. Elizabeth's going to be looking over. A little bit overhead. She was wearing... Yeah, that's right. Okay, she's wearing like a dress here. And she's got like a pile of books in her hand. In her hands. Okay. Okay. And then she's... Dee Dee was saying, did she ever leave her house in her everyday life? Yeah, she did, actually. And luckily, we're going to get out of this room at some point. But if you remember, like the beginning of the story starts with her brother dying at sea. And so basically, like historically, what happened is her brother came to visit her. Like her family had like an oceanside house or like a condo, the equivalent of a condo at the time. And so she had begged, like, and this is all documented in letters, but she had begged over and over again for her brother, who she called Bro, to come visit her. And so she kept pressing over and over again, like, you got to come visit me and stay with us. We'll like, we'll have such a great time. You can go boating and stuff like that. And then he came and visited and then went boating and died. And then I believe they didn't even know what happened to them for a while. And then their bodies just washed up on shore. So keep in mind, this was like her closest brother. And so she was just racked with guilt and depression and staying with her father, who was kind of taking care of her. But her father was also like fairly controlling and stuff, but also did like, did love his daughter. And so he was trying to kind of take care of her. And she was pretty much holed up in a room for a couple of years when she started, and writing poetry, getting a little known in poetry, but mostly doing a lot of it from, I believe, her family home while being kind of sick, and as she was doing this, she also struck up a correspondence with Robert Browning, who was a poet who was a young poet who had just come out and was like the rave of Victorian England, I believe, because he had just published a really startlingly good book of poetry. And she wrote to him and he wrote to her about some books of like translations that she had done. And like, cause she had 3 books published at this point. And they started a romance. And so a lot of that we'll get into a little bit. But the problem was, Elizabeth is a person who was born with a name and a title. They had like some wealth to their family, some strange generational wealth that, would put them at a certain class of society. And so Robert was like, her marrying some no-name poet, was just not approved or okay at the time. This is like back when, people had to marry in their station and like, or marry above their station. Like you couldn't marry below your station. And so it was just like, so they started this forbidden romance, her and Robert. And the beginning of this, that's not going to be the primary story here, because that's usually when people write about the Brownings, like that forbidden romance is where people specifically like to write about, because it is really cool. It's a neat story. It's like she went against her family and kind of married for love, and a lot of those poems that Elizabeth Barrett Browning's really well known for, like How Do I Love Thee, Let Me Count the Ways, those are all written about Robert. And he wrote books of poetry about her, and they just wrote these amazing love poems back and forth that ended up being some of the most known love poems of all time. And it's a really sweet story, so it makes sense why people have focused on that. But this story is going to be about the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. So it'll touch on that. That's the part that we're in right now. We're probably at about the point where they're going to be eloping. Which is why, like, when, she's having trepidation and Wilson's saying, hey, take this opium, she's like, no, I want to remember this day, because this day, I believe, is going to be them eloping. And I think this is Lavender's way of kind of getting a lot of the well-trodden territory a little bit corrected, get the record corrected a little bit, like, to make it clear, like, she wasn't just some hostage in her room, which is what a lot of stories have kind of made it out like that. that was like rescued by Robert. She was like a woman with agency who pursued Robert, and like, you know, actually even her dad, as much as he was not a good guy, like he did love his daughter and was taking care of her. So there's like more agency and complexity to the story than like people have told in the past. So that's kind of what she's addressing here with this whole part. And there'll be like that crazy pattern. This is a rough, so it's not. But it is like, it's kind of a sad and sweet. It's like a bittersweet story at this point, because you're seeing that like she's, you know, she has been holed up in her room and really hasn't gotten out a lot. Which of course Robert will hopefully, as you'll see, kind of address and hopefully fix a little bit. Okay, there we go. So that's rough number 1. Hashtag carpet pattern. A Victorian condo. Good one, Josh. But yeah, it is definitely like a very like Jane Austen type story where, you know, it's a very compelling story, as you guys will see. Like there's a lot of complexity to it, and then it goes from there. When we start getting into like the spiritualists and stuff, that's where it gets real fun. That's where my favorite sections of the script are. But I think the whole, you know, thing has like an ominous like tension to it, even at this point, where it's like the more kind of sweet part of the story. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, now she's going to be saying, and I can't wait to get into finished pages pretty soon too, but it probably won't hurt if today I can get at least to 10 more, like we're at page 18. It'd be great if I could get today to page 20 would be great, because then that'll give us a good 10-page chunk to start finalizing from. And hopefully at least at minimum have like those 10 pages done hopefully by the end of May. Like the final, not just the roughs. And if we can do more roughs than that, then cool. I'm happy. Okay. This was going to be her saying, "Are you unwell? Should I send for Mr. Browning?" No, she's saying. Okay, so we're going to have her maid again. The maid is such a weird hat. There's a lot of very strange Victorian hats that almost look like an episode of Blossom from, do you guys remember Blossom?
Yes.
There was an era of the 90s where women were wearing these humongous hats.
Not women. Teenage girls.
Teenage girls were wearing these gigantic hats. And all driven by Blossom. Who, to her credit, was like this actress who was just like, I'm going to wear these crazy awesome hats and like just started a whole thing. And I believe it was the actress more than just like the fashion designers and stuff like that were on the show. I think it was the fashion was very driven by one actress. Funny side note, when I was a younger man, I went to a goth club once, and it was just like, I don't know. I never was like a big goth guy, but I knew people who were, and they dragged me there. And I like looked over, and my friend and I were like, it's oh my gosh, it's Blossom.
Hey, no.
The dog was about to steal our son's snacks.
Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. It's CK. He's a crazy dog. We have a pug who is so food obsessed that if you like have a plate of food and you leave it for like 2 seconds, like a shark, he's this old pug and he'll just be like, foomp, like he's there and he just inhales whatever is there. So this is going to be like a close-up of the maid. And she's going to be saying, "Are you unwell? Should I send for Mr. Browning?" Because here's the thing, like, you know, as much as her dad was overbearing and stuff like that, he did give her like quite a bit of peace. And in her letters and diaries and, you know, writing and stuff, you definitely get the sense that like, as much as he was like a hard, kind of difficult, very overly controlling guy, he did help her deal with her loss.
I don't have a place to sit down.
And also, you got to realize it at this point in the story too, he's lost his son, you know. However, my sympathy for him is like, you can take a sympathetic view, but also realize like the guy also was like a plantation owner. I mean, he basically made his money off of slaves. So there's that too, which is kind of crappy. So sympathy to a certain extent, but you know, he's also a piece of crap. But one thing I like about the story as it's written by Lavender, who did her research, she shows all the nuances and stuff, you know? And Dee Dee's correct. He was a product of his time.
Mom, yes. Could you get 2 more of these?
But one thing that's great is like even Elizabeth was like very critical of that fact too. But you'll see he's a piece of work. Like, I like that Lavender, as she wrote it at this point, is giving you a little bit of a sympathetic window to him so that when he does what he's eventually going to do in this story, which is kind of unforgivable and a terrible thing to do to your own child, at least you'll understand that like there was a little nuance to it. Like he wasn't just this like beast. Like he did have moments of tenderness, you know, which I think is kind of good. I love stories that do that like, even if you have somebody who you could easily villainize and make like a horrible human being, because they kind of were, you can, you know, if you as a writer, especially with historical fiction, can kind of get into it and like give a take of like where they're not just like some black and white villain. I just think that's really sophisticated writing, you know. And actually, when it gets into like, you know, later, it actually makes it even more sad. Like, you can see why Elizabeth's heartbroken by what he decides to do, you know, because she, you know, she did love her dad, flawed as he was, you know. I think she needs to not be looking at Wilson here. I think she needs to be looking like that. That actually makes more sense. But not super angry. That might be too angry. It's a little too angry. I want her to look determined, but not like angry. And this is the time to work that kind of thing out. Like, what do you want your emotions to be? That kind of stuff. Like, that's what roughs are for. Like, tight roughs are for working all that stuff out. There we go. Okay. There we go. Correct the hands a little bit here. She has her books. She has 3 books here that are in her hands. You should read the Outlander series, maybe watch the series. There are probably 12 books. Yeah, I've heard really good things about that. Is that like a time traveler kind of scenario? You'll have to tell me, Dee Dee. You're not the first person who's actually recommended it. I've heard it's a lot of fun. And I always feel like, to me, like a sign that a show is probably something I should watch is like when I've heard like 10 people make the same recommendation, you know? And a lot of people, I feel like the book series has been going for a while, because I feel like that was a couple years back. But even when it was just the books, I think like a ton of people I knew were like, you need to check out this book series. Like, it's really good. Okay. So this is going to be with the chase. Like she's kind of close to sitting down here. So we're going to have the chase in the background. I don't know if I mentioned, but I kind of cheated the Chase Lounge too, where I think a Chase Lounge traditionally has like a backer like over here. But for sequential trickery, I decided it would be like a backless one. Just so that we can see more angles of the room and of her. So I picked like a chase that wouldn't have that. So it may not even be a chase lounge at that point. I can't. I'll have to look that up. If that in itself. But we kind of did like an amalgamation of a more kind of specific chase lounge and like the kind of couch thing that she had in the black and white movie that got her biography really badly, but I really liked the chair they had her in. And that is lunch, so that might be a good stopping point in a few seconds. We just received lunch, so maybe we'll stop at the having 2 of these done. And then continue the stream in a little bit. And she's saying no here. That's going to have the drapes there. We're going to have there's like a portrait here.
And then 2 that are the same color, but any color. Wait, what piece?
And then cool. So I think we have 2 of the roughs done. So we'll go ahead and save. I'm very excited about where this is coming. And I think this page will at least get done fairly soon too. Oh, Dee Dee said yes about the book being like a time traveling thing. And she said, I read the first book in like 1990. Yeah, and I feel like it must have been maybe like 3 books. Does it get really good like a little later on? Because I feel like it was like the late 90s and early 2000s where I had most people recommend it. Like they were just like, this series is incredible. Anyhow, we'll have to continue that conversation in a bit. I'm gonna go get lunch because I just realized it's about like 12:30. And then I'll be back streaming. So if you guys are around in the afternoon, I can see you then. So I appreciate everybody who showed up on the stream and all that fun stuff. And I mean, showed up in the chats. And appreciate you guys hanging out, checking out Benji's cool projects. And also checking out the rough stages we're at so far. And make sure you guys are subscribed, hit that bell so that you'll get notification when I'm about to go live. And I will probably be on stream in like about like 30 minutes again, working on stuff. So feel free to join me and put me on in the background while you guys are working on your art projects. Thanks to everybody. And also, if you haven't yet, pre-order Jacob's Apartment and make sure you've picked up a copy of 2 Stories on Amazon. And that'll do it. And I'll see you guys on the next stream, which will probably be in like 10 or 20 minutes. It's fun to be back streaming, and hopefully we can finish up the rough and maybe start the next page on the next stream. All right. Have a good night, guys. Well, did I say night? Oh my gosh, I still am kind of recovering from being sick. Have a good noon. Maybe it is night where you're watching though. Oh, Gary said, cool. See you in a bit. All right. See you guys in a bit. All right.